Okay, folks, underway here. Alex Hyman here. I believe my audio wasn't quite working, but glad you can join us, whoever's joining on the stream. Maxime Cressy of the United States getting us underway against Jan Choinski of Great Britain. Final round of qualifying here. Court 10 is the court for this match between two big servers, if I'm honest. Cressy, slightly more well known for his big serve and volley play, so I'm sure I'll be bringing you a lot of descriptions from him up at the net. But Choinski, first point as Cressy, love 15 second serve. Former UCLA Bruin, of course, is Maxime Cressy. And he hits into the net on that second serve. So slight opportunity for the Brit in this first game, which we wouldn't have been expecting. Choinski taking some deep breaths before returning this huge Maxime Cressy serve, all of 6'7", as Cressy hits a let on this first serve. Now the win for me, who's going to take it? I think it's hard to go past the big serving Maxime Cressy. For me, he's just going to interrupt the rhythm too much of the Brit. Maxime, he's been in the top 40. He's been as high as 31, I think I have on my notes. He's 27, but he turned pro back in 2019 after a really great college career, having started out not even in the lineup at the UCLA college over in California. as Cressy ace down the tee, saving the first of 3 break points here in this first game. So difficult moment straight away for Cressy, but it'd be interesting to see how he deals with this. Having hardly been broken so far in this qualifying. As he serves, takes wide. Our umpire, Marija Sichak of Croatia, calls a let for this one. Cressy onto the back of the court. Getting ready. Serve again at 15:40. Break points again for Choinski. Cressy goes up, goes to the body of Choinski. Cressy comes into the net, but Choinski with the great return onto the laces of Maxime Cressy, and it's break in this first game. And as they head to the changeover to grab a quick sip, Choinski will be absolutely buzzing with that, won't he? That is something else. So it's Jan Choinski, the 28-year-old, originally from Germany he is, but changed over nationalities to Great Britain back in 2019. So he's represented the Brits for a few years now. Obviously, myself being a Brit, it's a pleasure to commentate on one of the up-and-coming stars. And it's funny to say that because he's not one of the next gen, but he is still up and coming when it comes to Grand Slam tennis. So Choinski then to serve at 1-love, upper break already. Goes tee but misses. Choinski to the backhand of Cressy. Cressy stays back but hits a good return, so doesn't need to do too much there. Choinski at love 15. But Choinski, as I said, he's been coming up the rankings ever since making the US Open Junior semi-finals back in 2014. So he really has been. He's been on the world stage, but not really yet in the in the men's. As Cressy hits a big return line, and it's too good for Choinski, who can't quite manage to get there on the stretch. As Hawkeye comes up and shows us how tight that backhand return was from Maxime Cressy. But it's a good return game so far from him. Chances for Cressy to break straight back then as Choinski. It's another let. We've seen a few of those so far this game. As Choinski prepares to hit another first serve. A decent crowd here on court 10. Not many spare seats at all. Choinski goes to the forehand of Cressy and putting the first return that's missed, actually, from Cressy. Both big, tall guys, but to be honest with you, Jan Choinski doesn't have the biggest of serves, given his height. As another missed return comes in from the racket of Cressy. Back at 30 all, Choinski will be really looking to consolidate his first break of this match. He doesn't want to give that break straight back. So 30 all on the Choinski serve. Choinski goes wide to the forehand of Cressy. Goes back, forehand exchange, and another unforced from Maxime Cressy in the bright fluorescent yellow top he is wearing, so we won't be able to miss him for those of you watching. So game point for Jan Choinski as he goes up for the serve, topples on the net and proceeds to go wide. Kick serve into the body of Cressy. Cressy goes backhand cross, and it puts Choinski under a decent amount of pressure there. Cressy took that return nice and early, not giving Choinski much time. So good to see both going after the returns here. They know that both servers, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough match to break. They're both above 6'5". So Choinski goes into the forehand of Cressy yet again. You can see that as a clear tactic and gets the 1-2 punch that he would have been wanting in that point. winner into the backhand side of Cressy. Cressy nowhere near that one on that occasion. So it brings up another game point. But as I was saying earlier, I mean, it's tough to go past Maxime Cressy. He's been a top 30 player. He's been he's been in the latter stages of the US Open before. He's had big wins. I've got some of my notes here. He's made the round 4 of the Australian Open in 2022, defeated John Isner along the way, ended up losing to Medvedev in 4. So he's been into the second week of a slam. He knows what that feels like. US Open back in 2021, got past Carreno Busta, top 100 player. So he's been in these stages before, and the way he plays, I think it's going to prove too much for Choinski. Given he's got big swings on his shots, like he likes time, and Cressy, I don't think is going to give that to him. As Cressy goes into the body of Choinski, does the famous S&V, and Choinski goes wide with that backhand pass. So Cressy, the first success we've seen so far on that S&V today. We'll be seeing a lot more of where that came from. But yeah, guys, it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on who your favorites are. If you've got any of your favorites for the title, let me know in the comments. Be interested to chat through. As Choinski goes on the stretch, trying to pass Cressy, both ending up at the net at the end of that point. But Cressy showing off his great hand skills at the net and great net coverage. All 6'7" of him used in that final volley. So Cressy, 15 all on serve, trailing by 2 games to love. He'll want to hold here to not let this step go too far astray. Has he made that, Choinski? He goes back to the straight, aimed for the body of Maxime Cressy there, but misses long. So 30-15 Cressy. Hope everyone's well joining in on the chat. Please let me know how you're getting on, how you're enjoying it. That's what I love about these streams, is the engagement we get. That's what this is all about. We're all here because we love watching, and it's one of the biggest tournaments of the year, if not the biggest, for a lot of the Americans. And for Maxime Cressy, I'm sure it will be his go-to event for the year. I know his favorite tournament is the Newport Open, that final grass court event on the ATP calendar following Wimbledon. He won that back in 2021, taking out, who was it? Bublik in the final and Isner in the semis. That's his only ATP Tour title today, is Maxime Cressy. So he really is potentially a player you could call too good for the US Open qualies, and that is why I am backing him to get this and head into the main draw. But not the start that he would have been hoping for, as he tries to get hold of his first game and get on the board here. So 40-30 Cressy on his serve. 2-love down, though. As he bounces the ball, gets ready to go up and goes wide with the serve. Return takes the net, and they're both at the net, but Choinski manages to get that drop volley from Cressy and passes down the line there. Nice margin on the pass, and manages to get past all 6'7" of Cressy. So that was an impressive play, and we're back at juice. So Cressy not having an easy time on his serve, which really wasn't expected. Cressy goes wide to Choinski forehand, as Choinski goes up for the lob after the S&V and makes it. And that is the first lob we've seen of Cressy. Not a shot that he would often get beaten by, but that was pinpoint accuracy from Choinski. And, if we were playing indoors, I would have bet that hit the roof. But thank God this is an outdoor tournament, and Choinski can use as much of that height as he needs to get past Cressy. So Cressy serving at breakpoint down, nets that first serve, attempting to go wide to the backhand of Choinski. Choinski stepping up to the baseline to take this second serve return. It takes a step back and goes back to the backhand volley of Cressy. And Cressy nets that volley after Choinski goes for the pass down the line. So another missed volley from Cressy, and that's another couple of breaks. So we're 3-love Jan Choinski of Great Britain, and what a start he has there. That is quite something else. And maybe it's a commentator's curse that I said Maxime Cressy would get the win. If he does end up losing this first set, I still think he will end up getting it, but not the start I would have expected. Guys, we'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Let me know on the chat if you were expecting this, or if you know anything about these players, why you'd support one over the other. But yeah, a good evening and a good afternoon to all of you joining. So my first time here, so really excited to be here. That's what I love, and I was really excited to get going for this stream because just so good engaging with all of you guys whilst watching the tennis. I've been a commentator on various ITF tournaments and beach tennis tournaments, so a different type of tennis, but there's nothing quite like having that interaction with you guys. So it's a real pleasure to be here. Hey, Jake, maybe I have seen you before. I'm not too sure, but good to see you again. And Max, pleasure to see you again. So 3-love over to Jan Choinski. Can he hold serve here? Serving from the far end, goes wide to the forehand of Cressy. Beautifully opened up the court, plays into that space on the backhand side of Cressy. Cressy not quite able to stretch out for that. So unplayable stuff from Jan Choinski so far. The big serving Brit in white, serving again from the far end, goes into the forehand of Cressy. Cressy goes slice, moved round for the forehand of Choinski, and another unforced from Maxime. Doesn't look too comfortable out there. He's hit a couple of shanks already off that forehand side. It's not the smoothest of shots. So it'll be interesting to see if he does increase his opportunities up at the net. Fascinating stat from earlier on in his qualifying rounds. Coming up, I think it was something like coming up to the net 70% of the points he played. So a fascinating stat. And especially if he's not feeling it from the back of the court today. I'm sure that stat will be increased in this match against the Brit. But the Brit serving at 40-love, second serve. As Cressy getting set for this second serve return as Choinski goes up, goes to the forehand of Cressy. Cressy stays back, and they're into an exchange from the baseline. Forehand of Cressy. Again, misses. And this set is flying by, isn't it, guys? It's absolutely flying by. As Choinski goes to the side of the court and wipes his face with his towel, but I can't imagine there's too much sweat. Hardly a rally over 4 or 5 shots so far this set. And as Cressy gets up to the baseline, still looking to try and get on the board here. Cressy goes up and missed return from Choinski off the backhand side. So what has Cressy's road to the third round been? Round 1 came over Zombar Piros of Hungary in 3 sets, 6-4, 3-6, 6-3. I was watching the highlights of that this morning, and again, a fascinating match. Often Cressy's matches are so topsy-turvy because he can have sets where he's unplayable, but then he can have sets like this that we're seeing in this set that is just really, really poor tennis. Double faults coming from everywhere. You know, it is really something. He can hit 10, 15 aces a set, but he can match that with double faults on occasion. So it's so unknown what you're going to get from him. And especially in the last year or so, has been struggling to get that consistency wherever that may be, from the back of the court, from up at the net where he usually plays most of his tennis from. As Cressy goes serve and volley there, and that's nice. Oh, but what a pass from Choinski. That's unbelievable. I mean, Choinski up at 6'5", but he's such a good mover. And I think that is a much better part of his game than the serving part of the game. Amazingly, being that tall, Choinski, you would think, has as big a serve as Cressy, but he's such a good mover and plays all of his tennis from the baseline, so has to be that good. And is continuing to impress here as Cressy nets another first serve. Interesting to have a look at those stats. I'll bring you those at the end of the first set, but can't imagine his first serve percentage from Cressy will be too high as he goes kick out wide to the backhand of Choinski. And Choinski again on the forehand pass. That's incredible. I can't believe my eyes actually right now. That's that's silly. He hasn't missed a pass yet. And normally those playing against Cressy just feel too rushed and sometimes miss the pass when, the first port of call is to make it. But Choinski is going one better and not giving any chance for Cressy to make a volley as two more break points come up. But Cressy, it's his first ace of the encounter, I think. Excuse me, his second ace. His first ace from the juice side. But another break point here to save for Maxime Cressy. He doesn't look too disheartened. He's someone who is very level-headed. To be honest, they both are. They're really level-headed players, so you won't see too much emotion, I don't think. If they do, I'll endeavour to let you know. But that is another break for Jan Choinski, the Brit, who is having the best couple of years of his career, is continuing to impress here in this first set over on court 10 here in Flushing Meadows. That is incredible. Choinski really has had some career, and it is testament to his grit. He has been going on and on and on, and really is doing his best to try and get into these main draw of Grand Slams more consistently. Incredible stuff. I'm just checking the chat here. Cressy, Jake. Cressy is one of the very few lasting serve and volleyers. Breath of fresh air. You're too right, Jake. Yeah. Who else have we got? I was checking this morning. Top 100 wise, there's essentially no one. I mean, you get the odd serve and volley from the likes of Ben Shelton. You get the odd serve and volley from the likes of Aussies Max Purcell, Jordan Thompson. They've both got great hands up at the net, but consistently on a consistent basis, serve and volleys, yeah, top 100, we're struggling. The likes of Dustin Brown, just as Jan Choinski gets us back underway after the changeover at 5-love, and that's an unreturnable. So 5-love, 15-love. Choinski continuing to obliterate Maxime Cressy right now. But as I was saying, yeah, the likes of Dustin Brown, Feliciano Lopez. Who else have we got? Let me check my notes. Ivo Karlovic, of course. How could I forget the big Croat? Of course, no longer the occasional S&V from Federer that we all love to see, I'm sure. Let me know in the comments how much you're missing Roger these days. Of course, we are blessed with the next generation providing some unbelievable tennis. And luckily, Novak Djokovic still competing with the very best. But from my perspective, I do miss Roger. As Choinski closing in on this first set, going to be a bagel, it looks like. Goes to the forehand of Cressy, but Choinski on that third shot of the rally nets the forehand inside out. So we're tied at 30-all in this 5-love game for Choinski, looking to close out this first set in a matter of minutes. It can't have been much more than 20 minutes this first set. So it is great to see Maxime Cressy continuing to try and implement this style of play, the serve and volley that so many love, and that the older generation, I'm sure, miss on their screens when they're tuning in on the tennis. As Choinski goes deep with that backhand after the slice return from Cressy, and we've got a break point for Cressy to try and just give himself a little bit of a boost, probably going into the second set, because I can't imagine him to crawl his way back into this first, having been 5-love down. But who knows? Cressy has come out with some unbelievable comebacks so far in this US Open. Took out Pierre Huguebert, the 32nd seed in qualies just the other day, coming through that one 7-6 in the third set, did Cressy. So he does the unthinkable, doesn't he, guys? As Choinski goes into the forehand of Maxime Cressy. Cressy into the forehand exchange. Choinski changes it up, goes big into the backhand of Cressy. Cressy on the stretch, but not able to get that one over as Choinski comes into the net and provides a little bit of play like Cressy would have been hoping to do at the start of this match, but just hasn't been able to do. So set points then for Jan Choinski, the Brit, in what would have been the perfect set, you would have thought, for him. So he misses that first serve down the tee, lines up for his second, bounces the ball a few times, and goes up for the second, goes kick into the backhand of Cressy as Cressy puts that return deep, and that ties up the set for Jan Choinski. And guys, that is incredible. From someone who predicted Maxime Cressy to probably get this in straight sets, that's really surprised me. It goes against ranking. Ranking-wise, Jan is currently at 280, has been as high as 126 as we have a quick look at the stats. So first serve, Choinski at 65%. Yeah, 85% of first serves won for Choinski, which was just made pretty simple for him, if I'm honest. I mean, on serve, Choinski wasn't really troubled. He wasn't made to be put under pressure. Missed return after missed return from Cressy. Really, really was a struggle for the big American. And I would have thought you'd want to take a toilet break. I can't quite see if he's gone off court yet, has Maxime Cressy. Choinski, of course, staying on. He wants to keep this match going exactly the way it is currently. So he'll want to get back on, get ready to serve for this second set. But Maxime Cressy is staying on the court. He doesn't look too rattled. You know, after a pretty abysmal set, you would expect a lot of players to feel pretty rattled after this. But Maxime Cressy is so calm. He's in his first year of having his full-time team around him, supporting him. He's got Andrew Morero. Now, not many of you, I wouldn't expect you to know this because I've only just found this out in the last few days, but he's his hitting partner. He was an ex-player from Zimbabwe, was Maxime Cressy's coach. They haven't been on screen as of yet. So his hitting partner's with him. He's got Romain Siches, who's sort of plays a support role for him, essentially. And then he's got Juan Jose Clement, who is his fitness and mental coach. He's been with him since before his days at the UCLA Bruins. As Cressy looks to get this second set underway and starts it off with an ace down the tee. And he is underway here. As I take a quick look at the comments. What first round match are you looking forward to seeing at the US Open this year, Alex? I'm looking forward to seeing Yannick Sinner face off against American Mackenzie McDonald in the first round. After all that Yannick's been through in the last few days, I'm sure you're all aware. I just can't wait to see how he responds to that. More from a point of Sinner than McDonald, I'm looking forward to that match, really. I mean, I'm excited for McDonald as an American. No doubt playing and starting his tournament on Arthur Ashe against the world number one. What an occasion that would be. I'm pretty sure that's his first appearance on Arthur Ashe. So that's exciting for him. But from a fan from a fan's perspective, I feel for Yannick Sinner. Like it would be interesting to get your thoughts, guys, watching as Cressy hits another ace down the tee and sets up 3 game points. Surely he can get himself on the board here. And you'd hope that this American crowd are going to get behind him. Let's just focus on this before I go back to the topic of Yannick Sinner. As Cressy lines up at 40 love, hoping to get on the board at the very first time in this match as he goes down the tee but misses wide. And that serve had a lot of slice on it, slicing out behind Jan Choinski as he sets up Cressy for his second serve and he goes down the tee but misses deep. So another double fault. He's not a stranger to the odd double fault, is Maxime Cressy. But along with that comes a heck of a lot of aces and 3 points normally, which hasn't been the case today. And you'd like to think for him that can turn around. For those Americans watching, your guy needs some first serves and needs some cheap points out here as he goes up for the serve and goes wide. And it is an ace. It gets past the forehand of Jan Choinski. And yeah, Lexi, you got it. Hello to Lexi who's joining. And yeah. Hello. Hello, new guy, she says. Yep, I'm new. Thanks for all being so nice on my first time. Yeah, first time on the live play-by-play stream here. I've been only used to normal commentary where my fans watching are watching the tennis as well. So it's a cool opportunity to be able to provide something different, and it's cool being able to interact with you guys watching. So yeah, keep the comments coming in, guys. It's a pleasure to be here watching with you. So then, Maxime Cressy, the 6'7" American, is on the board, and he's looking to get this match turned around quickly as Cressy goes wide from that passing shot. Choinski getting this first point of this game. He's been flawless so far, has the Brit. Choinski goes down the tee. Cressy back with the forehand chisel into a forehand exchange, the first of which we've seen for a little while as Choinski goes big into the backhand of Cressy, and that's too good. It arises a backhand error on this occasion into the net. And it is something that Choinski will be able to do time and time again, is win those baseline exchanges. Cressy isn't comfortable from back there. He just doesn't spend enough time there to be able to feel comfortable like match after match. As Choinski goes big serve up the tee, unreturnable. So looking like it's going to be a pretty straightforward service game for Choinski as he is continuing to look calm. 3 game points. As Choinski goes another unreturnable into the body of Cressy, and we're tied at 1 game all in this second set after Jan Choinski took the first by 6 games to love. So Cressy, again, in his fluorescent cap and T-shirt, getting us back underway here on court 10 at Flushing Meadows. Still a packed crowd here, which is great to see them supporting, no doubt, their fellow American. So Choinski, just on the chat here for Lexi, Jan Choinski is a Brit. He grew up in Germany. That's where his parents are actually Polish. So his parents met and were both professional ballet dancers. You wouldn't guess what. So they grew up in Poland and then moved to Germany to start their business. And then That's where Jan Choinski was born. He grew up playing tennis in Germany, and that's who he represented until 2019 when he moved nationalities to Great Britain. So now he's obviously represents Great Britain. He is not quite good enough to be in the Davis Cup team as of yet, but maybe soon with the likes of Andy Murray departing the team, obviously the recent retirement. Cressy 30 love up here. As Cressy nets the first serve down the tee. Choinski a couple of steps behind the baseline, looking to return this one. He likes that time on the return to wind up his forehand. But that Cressy serve going into the forehand of Choinski comes in too quick. So 40 love on Cressy's serve, looking to get another game on the board. As Cressy goes down the tee into the forehand of Choinski, serve and volley. Cressy with the forehand, cross court, volley, and the pass netted by Choinski as he goes straight to sit down after that attempt of a pass. And it is funny because Maxime Cressy, I've seen him do this a few times actually. He takes 2 rackets to the back of the court. So where they put their towels in the back corner, he actually puts another racket. Whether that's tension related or whether that's grip related, I'm not too sure. I don't know if many of you are tennis players. If you have any thoughts on that, let me know. Be interesting to see if you do that when you play. He's changing his grip. Brings back memories of Richard Gasquet, who changes his grip like every service game. Every changeover, Gasquet used to change his grip and still does. How he's still going on the tour is something else. And these guys, slightly new additions to this level of tennis. I know Cressy, yes, he's been top 40, but over the past year or so has been really struggling. Hence, as I was saying, bringing on this full-time team of his 3 coaches. One, of course, I mentioned, who he started working with, is Juan Jose Climent. So he started with him, just really focusing mainly on the mental side of the game. For Cressy, that's what he says it's all about. He's happy with where his game is, you know, but he really just wants to focus on the mental side of the game. Listening to a podcast earlier on today with his coach, and he was saying how Maxime is just one of the hardest workers he's seen. It is fascinating, getting a little bit more insight into these players and their relationships with their coaches. Just saying, from the moment he started training him back when he was about 17, just before he went to join the UCLA Bruins over in California at college tennis, he was the first to turn up half an hour before session started. He was so determined to become one of the best players in the world. And at that time, he wasn't even making the lineup for the college tennis team that he was playing for. And by the end of those 4 years, he was NCAA champ, and he was already starting to make his way onto the tour. So Cressy is one of the hardest workers you'll see in the tennis world. And it shows because he's gone down 6-love in this first set. But there's no doubt that he's going to do everything he can to get back into this match. And he's showing to do that now. He's on serve in this second set. And Choinski is going to really have to work if he's going to win this in straight sets. But back to the tennis then, as Choinski serving at 30-15, 1-2 down in this second set. Choinski mid-court forehand goes to the backhand of Cressy. Choinski approaches, decides to take that on the half volley, but comes over it nicely. And Cressy guesses the wrong way. So 40-15, Choinski. Hope you guys are enjoying this match. It's actually a fascinating match. As much as it's been pretty one-sided so far in this first set, we're now in the second and we're tied up at 2-all. But it often is fascinating when someone goes down like a bagel set in that first, it creates a bit of hype, I think. I think the crowd will start to get involved because it's their American that's down. Who doesn't love an underdog when they're down a bagel and playing a Brit in America? These guys are going to have to get behind Cressy, you would have thought. So all those Americans watching, let me know your thoughts on how Cressy is going to get himself back into this match. As Cressy comes up, backhand volley, then Choinski passes this time on the backhand side. Cressy not even attempting to try and volley that one. As I just briefly look at the replay, it's a good volley from Cressy, but Choinski is just one step ahead. It's as if he's done his homework and he knows where it feels like a bit like a penalty shootout. When Cressy approaches the net, that feels like the shot, and Choinski's the goalkeeper, and he constantly is continuing to guess the right way, and it presents an opportunity to pass him. So it's really impressive, and it makes me think that the preparation from Choinski and his help from the coaches have been top class. As Cressy hits an unreturnable down the tee, he does tend to prefer that serve down the tee, whether that be on the juice side or whether that be the slider on the ad side. I've done a bit of homework myself, and that's where most of his serves are going. That's where he gets most of his success on his service games and off his first and second serve. Obviously, second serve, he's going to go kick a lot of the time because he can come up and get it high on the backhand side of his right-handed opponents, excuse me. So interesting to see Cressy's serve placement continuing to play out in this set. I'll keep an eye on it and keep you guys updated. There's Cressy serving at 30-15 and 2-all. So Cressy down the tee, painting the line. That was starting to find a bit more rhythm on this first serve, especially as Cressy, to the delight of the American crowd, which haven't fully got into this match yet, which I'm surprised about because I know the Americans, for one, love their sport, they love their tennis, and they love getting hyped. So I'm surprised about that. As Choinski misses wide in the tram line as Cressy follows up his serve at the net. And that's another game from Maxime Cressy. And he's starting to put together a few more games now, which is so good to see. I'm so glad because as much as I'm a Brit and I want a fellow Brit to win, I don't want to see Cressy go down like the way it was looking like in this first set. So it's nice to see this second set being a little more competitive. And if I'm honest with you, I'm not ruling out Cressy. To take you back to round 2, his match versus the Frenchman, Pierre Huguebert, 6-1, 3-6, 7-6. And that final set tiebreak, Cressy won 12-10. It's Cressy, just looking now, taking a little look at a notepad, which of course will have just mental cues for him to focus on. There can be so much going round in your head when you go a set down, especially in the fashion that was that first set by 6 games to love. There can be so much going on. Like, he must have been thinking, what am I doing wrong? What's he doing? What's Choinski doing so much better than me? He could be thinking about the crowd. Why aren't they getting behind me? There's so many things that can be going through your head. So those mental cues for him, it will just settle him down and make him focus on the few things that matter. As Choinski serving at 2-3 from the far end here on court 10 at Flushing Meadows. Great to have all of you joining this stream. As I was saying earlier, it's my first time here and it's been a pleasure so far. So I'm really enjoying it. And it's been great to interact with you guys. That's what I love about this forum. It's an awesome way to watch tennis, and it's becoming more prominent, isn't it? And it's so good to have you guys join me. So Thanks so much. Keep interacting with me. Just having a quick look at the chat is Maxime Cressy comes in, goes into the net after a solid forehand approach, and that's too good for Choinski. Is Maxime retiring? Asked Lexi. He is not yet. He's a fighter. Don't expect the American to just chuck the racket in just yet. As I was saying, he came through that previous round 7-6, faced numerous match points. He even hit 17 double faults in that previous round and still won. So it wasn't necessarily the best serving day from Cressy, and he still manages to find a way. So that will give him hope in this match, given that he really hasn't been having the best serving day here against Choinski. But yes, another look at the chat. As you guys just mentioning about Sinner, yeah, interesting to get your thoughts about the world number one. My personal opinion, I feel as if he's been super unlucky. He has been, yeah, put in a really unfortunate position. I'm sorry you keep on losing your Sinner debates, but would be interesting to get your thoughts briefly. But yeah, continuing on my opinion, I mean, I think, as I said, he's been put in a really unfortunate position. His physio has clearly accidentally been contaminated with this cholesterol. Excuse me, let me get the term right. It is cholesterol was the drug, and as he was treating Sinner, this has clearly still been on his hands from either a previous treatment for someone else or himself, and that stayed on, and then that's got into Sinner, and then it's since come up as a positive test. He was tested twice. It was positive twice. And so obviously things don't look good for Sinner. But you've got to have the background, I think, before giving your opinion. And I think we all know, and I'd be surprised if any of you uh, think differently about this, but Sinner's character on and off the court is so well liked by everyone on the tour, which is why I'm surprised that he is getting quite a lot of destructive comments on Twitter or wherever that may be in the media by his fellow players. So I think that's a bit harsh, and I think that's really tough for Sinner to deal with, especially coming into one of the biggest tournaments of the year. And he hasn't of course, he won the Australian Open, but after that, yes, he did okay. In the American hard court swing earlier on this year in Miami and Indian Wells. And that was the moment when he got tested as Cressy. Sorry, I'm just looking at that. And Cressy picks up that ball out of nowhere. That was meters away. But the stride length of Cressy was outrageous there. But we're back tied at 3-3 in this final round of qualifying between Jan Choinski and Maxime Cressy. As I just finish up my explanation and thoughts on the Sinner case. But that was where he first got tested and was tested positive back in Indian Wells in Miami before moving on to the clay earlier this year. And that was where things, in hindsight, you now realize started to go a bit pear-shaped for Yannick. But yeah, interesting to get your thoughts. Ghost, I think, if I'm calling you right there. I've done the background, Alex. This is a huge problem that predates Sinner. I could name a dozen Italian sports stars who have been caught using cholesterol, at least 5 tennis pros. Interesting. Okay, well, yeah, you've got more information than me on that subject, but yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah, Kyrgios's comments were made pretty obvious by the by the big guy, wasn't it? So yeah, they're not holding back on poor Sinner, but as I said earlier, I am I just hope the best for Sinner, and I hope that things sort of move on for him because it's all done and dusted now. The independent tribunal have made up their mind. He's cleared of of doing any wrongdoing. So all the best for him in my opinion. But that's my opinion. So yeah, but yeah, interesting to see your thoughts in the comments there. As Cressy goes 40 love up in this service game. Great to see him holding serve with a bit more ease as he comes to the net and chisels into the backhand of Choinski, and Choinski nets that backhand pass down the line. And so Cressy leads this second set by 4 games to 3 in this final round of men's qualifying here at the US Open. Of course, all these players in this final round of qualifying looking to assert their place into the main draw. That could be, of course, against Novak Djokovic or Carlos Alcaraz, as they both face qualifiers in the first round of the US Open. I don't know if any of you have seen the draw. Let me know what your thoughts are on the US Open draw, guys. I don't know if you've seen it. Came out earlier today. Any here? What I'll tell you what. Let me know your favorite matchups. What's going to be the best moments of the first round of the US Open, men's or women's? Interesting to get your take on that. I know I am looking forward to Sinner, of course. I've said that against American Mackenzie McDonald, no doubt on Arthur Ashe. I'm looking forward to Sophia Kenin against Emma Raducanu. Tasty first round clash that will be. Of course, both former Grand Slam winners. Emma back in 2021 here at Flushing Meadows. And of course, Sophia Kenin at the Australian Open back in 2020. And then she went on to reach the final of Roland Garros that same year. So both established players, but been struggling a little bit lately. So that will be fascinating. And will be interesting to see where the American crowd go with that, because I know the Americans love Emma. Yeah, that will be one for Faizan Lexi. Let's hope the Emma match is streamed. But yeah, it will be interesting to see if the Americans take to Raducanu yet again, or will they support their own in Sophia Kenin, as she is finally getting back to winning ways after a really troublesome few years with injury. But focusing back in on this final round of qualifying, both players coming through 2 rounds to get to this stage. Jan Choinski was looking good in this first set, with us going a set to the good by 6 games to love. But this second set is much more competitive. Both players sort of matching each other's level a little bit more now, which is good to see. No one likes to see a 2 one-sided tennis match. So Maxime Cressy looks a little more into this match now. The 6'7" American looking to try and get this break, but it's got some work to do in this game as Choinski serving at 3-4, but 30-15. As Choinski goes wide into the backhand of Cressy, but missing. And Choinski goes too much on that kick serve out wide. And so we're tied level at 30 all as Choinski looks to take a deep breath, at the back of the court. And Cressy looking to ignite something here as a half chance potentially comes up. But Choinski already back at the baseline. Of course, only 20 to 25 seconds between points. Not long to reset, but enough for Choinski on this occasion. And that's a poor miss from Cressy, a mid-court forehand. He doesn't look too confident on that shot today. And I'm intrigued because he hasn't been coming to the net as much as he has been in these previous qualifying rounds. So Choinski serving at 40-30 into the body, into the forehand of Cressy. Backhand exchange. Cressy going big, but opting for the slice, but netted, and we're tied level at 4-all. Jan Choinski, his game style is aggressive baseliner. It's counterpuncher. And so far, that matchup has actually been working quite nicely against Maxime Cressy. But I think that's because Cressy hasn't been coming to the net as much as he usually does. He hasn't been asserting his game style on Choinski at all, which is actually really surprising. To be honest, at the start of the match, I think that's where all it all changed because Choinski was making pass after pass, and Cressy wasn't able to do anything. He was he was struggling with his own game style, and that's where the shift came from Cressy. He must have been thinking, "Oh, okay, fine. This means I need to go to plan B. Let's try and work my way to the net as opposed to rush it like he normally does off the serve." As Cressy goes big wide to the backhand side of Choinski, and Choinski pops up on the stretch, and Cressy with a nice high forehand volley into the space. Winner. And this game is looking good for the American, trying to continue to roll these games over. These service games are so important for Cressy, not someone who is broken. And as Faizan says, the first set was insane. A bagel against Cressy, like that's kind of unheard of. It shows just how well Choinski was passing. But Cressy with a terrific shot on this occasion. Haven't seen too many of those winning volleys in this match yet, but follows up a high forehand volley with a delightful little touch cross court. And Choinski opts to not try and get that one because there was no way he was going to be able to retrieve that one. So 30-15 Cressy serving from the ad side as he nets the first serve, looking to serve and volley. So he'll trot back to the baseline and set up for this second serve. As Cressy goes wide and it's called good. Of course, Hawkeye Live in play for all courts throughout qualifying and main draw, but no shout from the automated line calls. So that second serve was an ace out wide, and Cressy serving at 40-15. And another big ace down the tee, and he is starting to find some rhythm now, is Maxime Cressy. The former UCLA Bruin is starting to brew. He's starting to get some sort of rhythm. And he leads going into this changeover by 5-4. And let's take another quick look at the chat, guys. Ghost, I guess I'm rooting for Choinski. I'm not a big fan of Cressy's game. That's fair. It's not for everyone. It's sort of like Marmite, this serve and volley tactic, I suppose. It's something that has deserted the men's game for so many years, and it's one of his goals. He often says it in interviews where he wants to bring back the hype around the serve and volley. He wants to see more kids do it and it become more of a prominent tactic in the men's game again. Interesting. I would have thought he would have stuck to it as a more sort of as a tactic in this match, but given how well Choinski was passing at the beginning, he then took a step back. But he's starting to find that confidence again. He's starting to come forward a lot more, which is good. He's sticking to his guns in saying he wants to get this style of play back into the men's game. So that's good to see. But interesting that you're going for the Brit. Fun fact: Cressy hits with one racket on his service games and a totally different racket on his return games. That's so weird. That is really strange. I was touching on that earlier, and I didn't actually know the reason. So that's interesting. That makes a lot of sense. That he opts for one racket on the service game and 1 racket on the return game. So whether that's got something to do with tension, I would imagine, because obviously he's playing with the exact same racket, the Bablat Pure Bablat Aero, I think it is. Yeah, as Choinski goes 15 love up in this service game. So Cressy obviously 1 game away from taking the set, but on the serve of Choinski, and that pass is netted by Maxime Cressy. So a nice start to the game for Choinski in serving to stay in this second set. Don't know. I know, yeah, the Halep situation is tough. A lot of people feel sorry for Halep given what she had to go through, and Sinner potentially didn't have to go through that as he should have done. So that's a difficult one. But yeah, no doubt Halep will be feeling like pretty hard done by the ITIA. Alex, do you play tennis? What's your style? I do play tennis. I played a lot growing up. My goal was to be what we're watching now on the bigger stage of these Grand Slams. But as we all know, it's such a tough business to get as good as these guys get, and you know it's an expensive business. Jan Choinski, for example, he's been on the tour since he turned pro back in about 2015. He was still a junior in 2014. Of course, he made the US Open semis, beating Berrettini on his journey to the semis. Eventually, he lost to Omar Jessica, who I don't think still plays, but interesting to know if any of you guys know that Australian player. I think he's a former player now. But he's been on the tour 10 years, and he's only just starting to get into these stages of trying to qualify for Grand Slams, which is where you're probably just earning enough money to make a living out of it. So the amount of money needing to be pumped into his journey is pretty amazing. But yeah, from a more personal point of view, I played growing up. I was a top level junior in the UK, which was amazing to be able to do that and compete around the UK and in some European events, but based in sort of the UK and Ireland, which was fun, and it's where a lot of my knowledge for the game, started. And then it's funny seeing some of your comments, guys. I'm actually 23, not 19, but maybe I look young. But then I went to the States to play college tennis. Not quite up to the level of Cressy. Haven't been a huge D1 player at the well-known UCLA college over in California. But that's where I continued to play and try and get onto the tour, but continued to be pretty tough and just too difficult for me. But it was a great journey, and like I'm pretty fortunate to have even been able to give it a go. I know it's not an easy sport to sometimes be a part of, given how expensive it is. I know it's starting to become a little bit more accessible. I know here in the UK it is getting better in terms of accessibility to be able to play. Interesting to know what your guys' thoughts are on that, where you're living, how accessible tennis is. So yeah, there we go. But I'm still playing now and still enjoying the game. But nothing more enjoyable than bringing the tennis to screens at home and yeah, being in this broadcast industry and interacting with the fans in the game that we all love. So yeah, that's my sort of background in the sport. But if anyone else plays, let me know. I want to know your level, where you want to go with it, what your goals are. Let me know in the chat. And if you're ever in the UK, we'll have to have a game. So we're down at the changeover then, looking back, and as Cressy takes some gels, gets his energy back, of course, with his 2 rackets never leaving his side, pretty much going from end to end, getting on some water. Packed crowds here on court 10. So, of course, qualifying is free this week to enter around the grounds. They've had Fan Week, of course, where it was free all week to enter the grounds. I don't know if any of you saw Alcaraz and Agassi taking on Djokovic and McEnroe on Arthur Ashe on Fan Day. That was pretty amazing to see. Yeah, I love seeing that older generation come together with the new generation and creating some hype for the tournament. That's pretty cool. But Choinski to get us back underway at 5-6 in this second set. And are we going to be heading to a tiebreak? Let's see. So Choinski up for the serve, goes wide into the forehand of Cressy. Choinski approaching the net on the backhand side of Cressy. And Choinski misses that volley over wide, aiming to be sort of a drop volley he was going for, but didn't quite time that. And we're up at love 15, so little half chance for Cressy to get up in this game and look to try and break. As Cressy goes backhand exchange into the backhand of Choinski, but Choinski opts to go into the forehand of Cressy, and it brings out yet another forehand unforced error from Cressy. We haven't seen too many of those in the last few games, which is partly why he's been able to hold serve. But we saw so many in that first set, so many unforced errors. So slight let up from Cressy and gives Choinski a chance to get back into the game at 15-0. But Choinski goes into the forehand of Cressy. Again, another unforced error. Yeah, if he does end up losing this match, he's got to think that's an area of the game where he's got to go and work on and put some time into and just rep over with his coaches. So 30-15, Choinski into the backhand, but missing long. As the ball boy runs over to collect, giving Choinski some time to go up for the second serve into the tee, into the forehand of Cressy. Cressy on the forehand side, going big into the forehand of Choinski, and arises a forehand error from the racket of Choinski this time. Potentially Choinski feeling a little tight on that ground stroke. It's the first time he's been put under pressure from Cressy, and it's starting to show a little bit. It's the first few signs of nerves from the Brit, serving at 30-all, goes wide into the forehand of Cressy. Cressy slices back. Good forehand from Choinski into the backhand of Cressy, and Choinski follows it up with a lovely drive volley into the open space on the backhand side of Cressy, and it leaves Cressy sort of in the middle of nowhere at the back of the court. Lovely opportunity for Choinski to come up there and take the time away from Cressy. And it sets up a game point here to take us into a second set tiebreak as Choinski goes backhand into the backhand of Cressy. Cressy slices. Choinski steps up the court, goes again into the same space. Cressy on the stretch on the backhand side. Gets a racket to it, but that's as good as he could do. And that is then rolling into the net is that final shot from Cressy. Simply too good from Choinski. And that's good to see because it was obvious that Choinski felt under pressure in that game. You know, he hasn't been troubled at all in that first set. And now we're tied. It's tight. He's going to get a bit nervous because he knows this is such a good opportunity for him to get into the main draw of a Grand Slam. But he's come through it really, really well. And the Brit is just a tiebreak away from entering his first main draw of the US Open. But Cressy gets the lead here in this tiebreak with a lovely serve and volley. Goes out wide to the forehand of Choinski. Choinski, all he could do was pop it back on the stretch, and Cressy goes backhand volley into the space. So Ghost, I didn't ever play Paul Jubb, but I played his opponent in the first round of qualifying here at the US Open, Jacob Fernley. I don't know if you guys are aware of him. He played Djokovic in the in the first round of Wimbledon this year. Was it the first or second round? Maybe it was second round, but either the first or second. And yeah, Jacob's a great guy. He's from Scotland. Done so well this year, going from college onto the tour. He's up top 200, I think now. So seriously impressive. And those guys coming from college are doing so well. Like so many players have seen success having gone through the collegiate system. So yeah, interesting to get your guys' thoughts on that. What you think of the collegiate system, how it's able to transition players from the juniors up into the professional ranks. So Cressy up a mini break in this second set tiebreak. The American, originally, of course, French nationality, having grown up in France and trained out there, then moved over to the States a couple of years before joining UCLA. Of course, another player who's gone through the collegiate system. So serving at 2-1. Cressy goes big into the backhand of Choinski, unreturnable. Sort of into the striking zone for Choinski, but that serve's coming down so fast. Like, it's really impressive. And this is where Cressy comes into his own in these tie breaks. His record for tie breaks is ridiculously good. Cressy goes up for the serve, aims to go wide, but misses. So he'll set up for a second serve at 3-1. And it's pretty silent around the grounds watching this match. They know it's tense moments for Cressy, for their man trying to get into the US Open main draw again and bring back the level that he's seen over the sort of last couple of years that has lost him over the past year, I'd say. Of course, he was ranked up at 31 back in 2022, so he's just looking to try and get up back to that ranking. Choinski serving at 1-4 here in this second set. Goes long with the first serve. Puts up to the body and nice backhand return from Cressy. Cressy goes slice down the line as it topples the net and goes to the net. Cressy goes drop shot into the backhand, retrieved nicely by Choinski. And I think Choinski's managed to get that point somehow. That was a really good scramble from Jan Choinski, and he keeps himself alive in this tiebreak. That was seriously impressive. I often think that Cressy is the one to come out on top of those points where it's sort of messy tennis, like it's ugly. But Cressy, that's sort of his game. He's so used to winning points from nowhere, from the scruff of his neck. But Choinski is the one to win that on that occasion. And they change ends. Choinski serving from the far end here on court 10 at 2-4. As the crowd give a nice little applause for their man, Maxime Cressy, as he, of course, brings his two rackets to the back of the court, as we are so aware of him doing. And Cressy sets, making Choinski wait to serve. But he goes up and he goes wide, but it's deep. So he'll set up for that second serve, serving at 2-4. Tense moments for the Brit. Going into the forehand of Cressy. Cressy able to lean on it and unable to take advantage of what was a good return. And it was set up nicely for Cressy. He put a good return in there, got the ball that he wanted, able to try and approach, but he nets the approach from the backhand side. And we're back within a point in this second set tiebreak. If the collegiate system can produce players like Shelton, then it's really good. Yeah, I think you're right, Lexi. Fun fact, I actually played Ben Shelton back in 2018, I think it was, over in Florida. Obviously, he was nothing like the player he is now, but yeah, I mean, the fact that we had like a 3-set match shows you that he was a late developer. Because if you're going to 3 sets with me as a 16-year-old, you're currently not on track to be in the pro ranks. But his development from the age of around 14, 15, with his dad coaching him over in Florida, like that was seriously impressive. He didn't hang up any phones on me, luckily. He was a confident guy. He was a confident guy back then. He's managed to grow even more in confidence now. Um, but I think you need that, right? I think to get to the top of the game, you need an ounce of confidence that other guys don't have. And I think that's often what sets you apart from being good and then being great, like he is. Um, but yeah, obviously being a lefty probably helps him. His physique is a joke. Like, obviously he's worked hard on that, but yeah, that's a gift that he's got now that he can use in his game and help him get around the court. And the likes of his serve, I mean, his serve is such an asset for him. His lefty serve with how big he's, it's tough to find a better serve than him, than Shelton in the top 100 right now. Interesting to know your thoughts. If there's a better server than Shelton in the top 100 right now. But we're tied, guys. We're tied at 5-all here. It's getting really tight in these moments in this second set. As Choinski approaches the net, but Cressy finds the pass. The approach wasn't up to standard for Choinski, and Cressy goes forehand pass on the forehand side of Choinski, and it brings up Maxime Cressy's first set point, and I'm not surprised. I don't know if you guys are, but I saw this coming. Cressy is a seasoned pro at staying calm and making and finding a way back into these matches. He won that final round a couple of days ago against Pierre Huguet 7-6. Is he going to do it again? So he goes body into Choinski. He serves the volley. Choinski finds laces, but Cressy wins this set. Blimey, what an effort from the American. He was down and out after losing that first set 6-love, but he's worked his way back into the match. He's starting to figure out how to get better of Jan Choinski, and that final point is a great way to see how he's managed to get back into this set. He's worked out that actually getting to the net is the way to go. It's just finding the right time to do it. I think he was rushing the net too much. As we have a look at the stats, still losing out first serve wise against Jan Choinski, but the numbers are looking so much better for Maxime Cressy. I was just looking at the stats there. It's good to see. As we just looking at a little replay, it's such a good pickup from Cressy. That's the points that he somehow finds a way to win, is the tight moments. That's 6-5 up in that second set. You lose that point, you're then 2 points away from losing the match, as opposed to 1 point away from winning that second set. So it's such fine margins, but he picks it up off his laces. It gives an awkward shot for Choinski to try and pass him on. Choinski goes back to the body of Maxime Cressy and nets it, because the pressure incoming from Maxime Cressy at the net it is pretty tough to try and pass, isn't it? Like, he's 6'7". His wingspan is a joke. But yeah, luckily for us guys, we're sticking it out a little bit longer, and we're headed to a third set. But let me just come and check in with you guys and see how you're getting on. Big servers always have an advantage in tie breaks. Yeah, for sure. Cheap points, getting rid of those shots that you don't want to hit when you're nervous. That is the added advantage of a big server. Faizan, I never get how players can get bageled and then go on to win. This could be one of those times. Yeah, for sure. We're well and truly into one of those matches now where one player is down and out. In this case, it was Maxime Cressy, but credit to his mindset. I know I was chatting earlier about his coach saying he's one of the hardest workers you'll see. So it's no surprise to me that he's found a way back into this match as we get started into this third set as Cressy misses the backhand return wide. It's funny. Choinski has basically 5 more games than Cressy, but they're all even going into the third. That's tennis. Yeah, for sure. That is tennis. And it is interesting because I think there's been quite a lot of talk about the format of tennis, how it's played. Is it attracting enough fans still? Is it getting the next generation playing? Is it too long? Like, of course, we're playing best of 3 in the qualifying, but is best of 5 sets in the main draw of slams too long? Do people get bored watching? Interesting to get your guys' thoughts on this. I know there's been different styles of formats trying to be implemented in tennis. Of course, Ultimate Tennis Showdown is happening right now over in Forest Hills. That's a format which I love. I've actually worked at that event before, and the excitement surrounding it, the fans actually really love it when they come and watch. There's obviously music going on around the court, which in slams you just don't have. In the main ATP events, you don't have. You've got timed matches, so you know when it's going to end, which is helpful not only for the players who can then figure out eating arrangements, what they're going to do for the evening, which they hardly ever get to do because they have to wait for, I don't know. For example, Sonny Cartel was playing earlier on. That match went 3. And then, of course, another match, another Brit, Billy Harris, was aiming to get into the first round of the US Open for the very first time. That went to 3. So Choinski and Cressy would have been waiting hours, warming up not once, but probably 2 or 3 times. But in the case of timed matches, you know exactly when you're going to go on court. And for athletes, that will be a huge advantage, right? Because in terms of preparation, recovery, it's so much more schedule based, right? So interesting to get your thoughts on that, guys. Just having a little look at the comments. Sheik says Choinski is going to win this set, guarantee. I'm not sure if that was last set or this set. But if you mean the third set, that's a bold statement, but I like it. I think if Choinski is going to win this third set, I think he's got to continue to find the passes like he's just done there on the backhand side. He's got to continue to anticipate the volley where Cressy is going to go, and he's been doing that so well. Slightly less in that second set, but in that first set, he did it perfectly. He won the first set 6-love. And then in this set, he started to do it well. Obviously, again, he's a game up to the good. So he's got to continue to read that volley well, and he's got to continue to read the serve of Maxime Cressy well too, because Cressy serves big. Like you've got to shorten up that backswing to try and time the return well. And if you do time it, he's given you all the pace, has Cressy. So he's given you all the pace you need. So you don't need to add pace. You're just timing the ball. And ideally you get it down to the feet of Cressy when he's serving volleying. And then it presents a nice opportunity for Choinski to have a go at that pass. So that's what I think Jan Choinski of Great Britain needs to do if he's going to try and win this in 3 sets. I forgot that this is a 5-set match. Yeah, obviously qualifying, we've got to turn our attention back to 3-set tennis, which I think is needed. Would be brutal if qualifying was 5 sets too. Yeah, that wouldn't be ideal. Yeah, I know. I wouldn't want to try and qualify and then try and win another 7 matches, all best of 5 sets. That would be brutal. But yeah, interesting to get your thoughts actually. Chuck in the comments if you think Grand Slam tennis should continue to play 5 sets in the main draws. If you do, should the women play 5 sets? Obviously, this is always a big talking point surrounding the majors. So yeah, interesting to get your thoughts. Let me know. From a personal standpoint, I I think the majors should continue. I think there's enough going on around the major tournaments of tennis that allows the majors to continue with this format. I think the majors have enough attention on them. They have enough surrounding them that enables fans to continue to enjoy the best of 5 set format. With the likes of UTS, there's a new format of tennis that was being tried out at the Atlanta Open just a couple of weeks ago called time tennis. Let me know if you've seen that around. There's lots going on, and so I think there is certainly still a place for 5 set tennis to continue. But guys, we're tied at 1-1 then in this third set. So Choinski to serve into the body of Cressy. Cressy goes backhand middle. Nice return from Cressy into the backhand. Backhand exchange now happening as Cressy goes deep with that slice down the middle. Tough. Could see the intensity has picked up, no doubt, as we see that second serves won 50% from Choinski. Cressy on 30%, so hasn't seen too much success. Has Cressy on the second serve. Oh, but the crowd loves that one from Maxime. He goes big at the body as Choinski approaches the net, and it pays off because it comes in too quick for Choinski to react, and I think it clips the net as it goes over. So tough for Jan to try and use his reflexes to get that one back. So 15-all here as Choinski goes in wide to the forehand of Cressy. Choinski approaches down the line, and Cressy guesses right. Choinski had literally a backhand on top of the net. But Cressy was almost waiting for that backhand to come to him, and it did. And the space opened up because Choinski was on the backhand side. He had committed. So if Cressy was able just to get that over the net, it was point for him, but he wasn't. It was too much pressure put on him from that backhand. But we are at 30-15. Choinski and Cressy on the run, grunting as he goes from side to side. Choinski comes into the net, approaches to the forehand side, but Cressy able to find the space up the line. And we're tied at 30-all in this game. As I was saying, the intensity no doubt has gone up in spades. Both players really looking to focus on not making the errors that they sort of have been in the first 2 sets. Certainly less unforced errors being made now by these two. Perfect serve up the tee, able to be retrieved by Cressy on the stretch, but it went up high. So slice on the stretch from Cressy. Cressy goes 2 slices in a row. Choinski opts up to go into the forehand of Cressy, continues again. Forehand Cressy, and brings up a forced error on the forehand of Choinski, and Cressy has fought really hard in this game, and he's able to give himself a break point. And if he gets this, he'll go into the changeover with a break at 2-1 up. And boy, is he working hard. He's working so hard to get himself up in this final set. Unreturnable from Jan Choinski. As I was saying at the beginning of this match, they are both so level-headed. Like, we won't see too much animation going on. So we're tied at juice in this game. Goes wide on the stretch from Cressy into the forehand and backhand exchange. Cressy slice approach, and it's reminiscent of the first set was that from Choinski. Finds the pass, It was a nice slice approach that faded out away from Choinski, but Choinski's speed allows him to get there in time. And he finds the space up the line, so it presents a game point for Choinski to hold. Nicely putting Cressy on the run as he continues to try and do. Cressy finds the backhand winner approach. Oof. That wasn't too shabby. I think a Novak Djokovic would have been pleased with that backhand winner. That was really nice from Maxime. So back at deuce, this surely is going to be a pivotal game when we look back at this final set. Wide to the backhand of Cressy. Cressy opts for the slice yet again. Choinski into the forehand drop shot from Cressy. No way has he made that. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Cressy goes drop shot, forehand drop shot into the backhand side or into the backhand half of the court of Choinski. Choinski gets there with ease, hits that half a meter above the top of the net. So should be a simple put away for Choinski. Cressy approaches the net, sort of a kamikaze style, and guesses right. And his hands are so good, his reflexes are so good, he's able to push that back into play and get past Choinski. So another break point for Cressy. And it hits the net. This is carnage. Maxime Cressy takes advantage of Choinski's backhand, clipping the top of the net. It then sits up nicely for Choinski to lean on the backhand. And the winner is hit by Maxime Cressy. And he is fighting hard now. He is in full flow. And this is classic Maxime Cressy. He goes into the changeover with a 2-1 lead and a break as he again gets out his notepad and looks to try and calm himself before serving after the changeover. So, which other Americans are in this US Open draw? Interesting to know your thoughts on who is likely to get through the draw and get to the second week. I know Taylor Fritz, Tommy Paul, on the men's side will be looking to try and assert themselves. Of course, it's the biggest event of the year for the Americans. On the women's side, you've got Jessica Pegula, who, of course, won Toronto, made final of Cincinnati, of course, losing out to Sabalenka. So for someone like Pegula, who showed so much promise sort of last year and then has had a troublesome few months, she's really now back in form. And with that comes an added expectation, I think, coming into the US, given the home slam that it is for her. Yeah, I think that's a good thing because it means that there's a reason that she's doing well. You know, like she's come into to this slam in really good form. Okay, the match against Sabalenka, possibly she was outplayed by a better opponent. Sabalenka able to hit her off the court, just as Sabalenka does so often. But yeah, high hopes for Jess Pegula in this US Open. As we get back to the action, and Cressy is starting to come to the net much more now and starting to see so much more success. The passes that Choinski is now hitting were the ones that he was hitting winners on in the first set. Now Cressy is able to read him. So it's sort of turning around now. And Maxime Cressy is 2-1 up, 15 love up as he serves from the ad side and he nets that first serve. So second serve, still in the fluorescent yellow top and cap is Maxime Cressy as he serves wide into the backhand, and S&V goes short with the volley. Cressy misses that. Choinski did well to get up to the net after the drop volley from Maxime Cressy and actually rushing Maxime at the net. So, taking a moment are the two players as Maxime Cressy bouncing the ball as he does before every serve, just to get himself in the zone. Wide but deep with that first serve as he hits the volley, just in case, but retreats back to the baseline. Cressy serving into the body of Choinski. Choinski back, managed to get out of the way of it after that body serve. Punches it back into the court, but Cressy nets that half volley. And he's got himself in a bit of an awkward position now, has Maxime Cressy, serving at 15-30. So just as I was taking a sip of water there, Maxime Cressy misses another volley. So uncharacteristic of him up there. So Jan Choinski has got a couple of break back points here in this final set. So topsy-turvy this one's been. Choinski looking determined as ever. Such a determined individual. He's been waiting for this moment for so many years to try and get into the main draw of a slam, other than Wimbledon, of course. He's got 2 Wimbledon wildcards in previous years due to his change of nationality over to Great Britain. Of course, that is such a a benefit of being of belonging to a nation with a home with a Grand Slam. You know, the likes of Jan Choinski being given the opportunity with a wild card to play the slams. It is such an advantage. So Choinski then, break point number 2 as Cressy nets the first serve. So will he step up? He's not stepping up is Choinski. He's bouncing about a couple of meters behind the baseline. As Cressy goes up for the serve, goes wide to the backhand of Choinski, but it hits the net, I believe. So Maxime Cressy will retreat back and take a couple more balls from the ball kid before lining up for his second serve yet again. So Cressy, break point down. Where will he go with this second serve? He goes in the net. And what a nightmare for Maxime Cressy as he gifts. He literally hands the break to Jan Choinski after a double fault hit at the worst possible time you could imagine. So Choinski, with the calm but motivated come on after that. Not in a way that is disrespectful to Cressy, but in a way to pump himself up for this next game at 2 games all. As I just check the comments, hope you guys are still enjoying this unlikely stellar match, to be honest with you. I wouldn't have thought this would be such a closely contested match, but I guess with Maxime Cressy, you never know what you're going to get. You can bet probably quite a lot on Maxime Cressy playing a couple of tie breaks. And that's what we've seen. So Cressy coming into the net with the slice fade approach out to the forehand side of Choinski, but missing the approach. And that's something that at this stage of the match, I get trying to put that amount of pressure on Choinski when approaching, but I think the hard work is done when you've made that decision to come to the net. Just make that approach. Make him try and hit a pass. Like that's the least you're going to have to try and do, I think. And Cressy just missing the last couple of approaches there. So not giving himself the opportunity to win the point of the net, which I think is what he needs to do. As Choinski goes up for yet another lob, like in the first, and he's able to win that point from putting up a lob over a 6'7" giant of Maxime Cressy. Choinski on 2 occasions now. I think we've seen 2 lobs in this match. The first in the first set that went over the backhand side of Cressy for a lob winner. And on this occasion, Cressy just managing to get it, but it hits the top of his racket, frames over it. It almost spins back over the net. But Choinski able to get there thanks to his magnificent athleticism. And Choinski, as I was describing the previous point, has already decided enough is enough of that game. Hits a delightful angle pass, and Maxime Cressy stood flat-footed in the middle of the court up at the net. And Choinski goes into the changeover with a 3-2 lead. And wow, what a difference that is to the last changeover which was Choinski going in at a breakdown. So serious change here. As I just see how you guys are getting on. Hope you're still enjoying the coverage. As I said, it's my first time here, so it's been nice, and I'm really thankful for you guys for joining. It's been cool to interact with you guys. As I was saying at the beginning, having done some commentary on live broadcast for TV, it's really cool to be able to have that interaction that you don't have when you are doing it on a normal basis. So that's been really cool. So I appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting, of course, the Quality Shot channel. So Cressy taken to the back of the court, of course, with his 2 rackets, taking 4 or 5 balls into his hands, choosing which one is going to be the one for him to hit this first serve with. Cressy trailing at 2-3 in this final set. Of course, this qualifying started out with 108 players, and it's now down to the final 16 that will go through to the main draw. Who will it be? Will it be Jan Choinski, or will it be Maxime Cressy to join the other few players who will be the 16 players that go through from qualifying to main draw? Some, of course, will be facing top players. Some, of course, will be facing another qualifier. It sort of depends where they end up in the draw. But Novak Djokovic and Carlos Alcaraz both drawn against qualifiers. So imagine doing all that work and then coming up against the best 2 players in the world right now. Of course, not ranking-wise, but I think level-wise, it has to be that Djokovic and Carlos are the best in the world right now, having competed at the Wimbledon final and, of course, in the Olympics. Of course, Jannik Sinner well up at the top of the rankings, but for me, he's 3rd in the world right now, from a personal opinion. But he's coming in strong, having won that Cincinnati final over France's TFO. Yeah, nicely put away from Maxime Cressy. God, I haven't seen many cheap points like that. Choinski has been doing an unbelievable job of making life difficult for Cressy. So it's been a rarity for Cressy to get a nice, cheap serve and volley point. Serve, come into the net, play the open space volley. Oh, it's two in a row. A scream of vamos from the American, channeling his inner Carlos Alcaraz, some may say. And boy, would he enjoy seeing himself play at the level of Carlos for the next few games to try and see him through into the main draw. But a couple of nice serve and volley points, keeping it nice and short for Cressy as he chucks down another ace. And we're tied at 3 games all now. Final set. 1 set all, 3 games all. It couldn't be much closer, guys. And from where I'm sitting, a final set tiebreak is looking pretty likely as Maxime Cressy just having a jogging up to the umpire, who is Maria Sichak of Croatia. Potentially just asked for the physio or a restring, could be either. I'll endeavour to keep you updated on that one. Okay, then. Advantage Maxime Cressy then in this game as he goes up 15 love on the Choinski serve. Not much room for error now for either of these guys. Both got to try and keep hold of their serve. Having said that, this match hasn't been a stranger to breaks. So not the end of the world if one gets broken here, but neither will fancy their chances if that happens, if that makes sense. Okay, just checking the chat, guys. I know some of you. So I just joined late. You got the Laver Cup plaque behind you. Did you win something? I actually was working at the Laver Cup and got gifted the poster. So yeah, hopefully you can see. But yeah, it's a nice one. I'm glad I managed to get hold of that one before leaving. But yeah, interesting. Looking forward to the Laver Cup this year. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if Nadal calls it a day. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Where do you think Rafael Nadal will hang up his rackets? Do you think it will be this year, guys? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, possibly is time for him to call it a day. Whether he goes and does the same as Roger and calls it a day at the Laver Cup, I'm not sure. I think that might be taking it away from Roger a bit, so I don't know if he'll do that, given how close they are and how much they respect each other. Having said that, might be quite nice for the tennis world to know that Roger and Rafa both retired at the Laver Cup, something that Roger has inaugurated himself. I know they'd make it really special for Rafa if that's the case, but of course, there's been no signs that Rafa is going to hang up the rackets just yet. He's been pretty clear of that he's going to do it in his own time. So I'm sure he's earned the right. And just a quick look at this match then. Jan Choinski winning what was a crucial point there at 30 all, 3 all. Choinski was the one to approach the net on that occasion and doing enough with the volley. So Choinski gain point to go into the changeover with a 4-3 lead, and he nets the serve. Cressy standing almost up on the baseline, slightly slanted with his feet. So block back return on the chisel from Cressy, nicely put backhand down the line from Choinski, and it's too much for Maxime Cressy on the running forehand shot. as he nets that final forehand. So Choinski with the fist bump goes into the sit down. 4-3 to the Brit, but on serve here in this final set. And let's see. It is the physio that has been called for Cressy. So I don't think too worrying signs as of yet, but maybe just nursing an injury is Cressy, or he's been given a drink here of some sort. Maybe a few energy gels. He's not being treated yet by the physio on this changeover, but the physio is looking like he's preparing some sort of tablets and being put into this apple juice like container, it looks like. So whether that's some sort of illness, it's painkillers, I'm not too sure. But Cressy doesn't look like he's going to stop or anything like that. So it doesn't look too serious. Possibly just taking care of a little niggle of some sort is the big serving American. And yeah, just checking in back with you guys. Thanks for staying up wherever you are. Yeah, you guys make this a lot easier for me, that's for sure. Lexi, the Laver Cup is my fave tennis team based competition. I always look forward to it. Yeah, for sure. Me too. The last couple of years has been pretty one-sided, I think. Team World taking it pretty convincingly last year. So hopefully the likes of Alcaraz, Zverev this year for Team Europe um, can help their team try and make a better showing for themselves this year over in Berlin in the Uber Arena, I think it's being held at. As Cressy serves at 3-4 in this final set. Has anyone ever been to the Laver Cup? Of you guys watching, let me know where and when you went. Obviously, it's been going since about 2017 or 18, I think. So let me know. Thanks, William. Yeah, we're up late, but why? Who wouldn't want to be up late watching Jan Choinski and Maxime Cressy battle it out on court 10? It might be an outside court, but there are hundreds of people watching. And the Americans are starting to really get behind Maxime Cressy now. After that showing that he put in back in 2021 here at the US Open, he emerged as a real fan favorite, that's for sure. Having gone through the collegiate system, yes, he might have been representing France earlier on in his career, but the Americans took him under their stride, and they're glad to have him represent the United States for sure. Why wouldn't you be? Yeah, interesting that you think Team Europe will win this year. I think tough to go past them with Carlos. Interesting to see how Carlitos will take to the Laver Cup. I'm pretty sure he'll love it, and that his ability to produce that sort of outrageous game style where he's going from drop shot to tweener to like 130-mile-an-hour forehand, like that will be something that the Laver Cup, I think, will bring out of him more, that freedom to be able to play that style of tennis. So I think it will only ignite that part of Carlos Alcaraz that we all love. So yeah, super excited to see that one. And from a British standpoint, let's hope that Team Europe get the win over in Germany. So 4-4 now in this final set. We've been neck and neck going through each game. There's Choinski standing slightly over to the right-hand side on his serve now. He's taken a few steps away from the center of the court. Interesting. Potentially trying to give Maxime Cressy a different look on his return. But 15 love Choinski then goes into the body of Cressy. Cressy slices back, gives the forehand for Choinski, and Choinski goes backhand in to the backhand of Cressy. Cressy with the slice approach for Cressy, and it forces an error from the racket of Jan Choinski. Cressy charging the net after that slice approach. Choinski just pushed for time on that one and ends up missing the backhand pass. Goes cross with it, but not to be. So 15 all. Choinski a little out of breath as he goes wide with the serve, gets Cressy on the run on the backhand side, and Choinski goes back behind on the approach. And too good. He's hit that approach nicely, has Choinski, a lot of the time today. He's put it in nice positions. Cressy, being the 6'7" guy that he is, he's a good mover, but he's not that good. Choinski goes up the tee with the serve. Choinski presented with a nice forehand in the middle of the court as he goes into the forehand of Cressy, then into the backhand, and it produces an off the backhand of Maxime Cressy. Cressy needing to find a way to stop Jan Choinski bossing him around from the back of the court, not the way that Cressy's going to win this match. Cressy needs to find a way to get up to the net. So Choinski, 40-15 hit into the tee, into the backhand of Cressy. He goes. Backhand exchange. Oh, blimey. That was some shot down the line from Maxime Cressy. That's got to be the fastest ground stroke of the day, surely. That was ridiculous. And that's the risk taker that Maxime Cressy is, that it's his game style. He needs to impose that as much as he can. So game point still for Jan Choinski as he nets with the first serve. Both players really dialed in right now. Kick down the tee. Cressy goes huge with that forehand return. And he goes big margin given how fast he's hit that return. And it pays off because even though it's pretty much gone straight back to Choinski, he is rushed for time. And he's not able to get that ground stroke back into play. So we're at juice now. Cressy getting back into this game so well. Choinski going up to the tee. Cressy looks back. Oh, he just misses that forehand pass. He had an opportunity there, did Cressy, to try and make Jan Choinski play. It was the rare occasion that Choinski didn't hit a winner on that approach. Gave Cressy a look, but Cressy not making the Brit play. So another game point for Choinski. Goes into the backhand of Cressy. Cressy hits and makes contact with a delightful backhand return that finds fabulous depth into the backhand corner of Jan Choinski. And the mixture of pace and depth from that backhand, too tough for Choinski to deal with. And Choinski really starting to shift over on that serve as he goes to wide, opts for the wide serve, but Cressy finds a way to get into the net and he pounces on that. And that high volley into the stands from Cressy. And he has a break point going in to this point. Here we go then. Maxime Cressy, all eyes on the big American. And you can't miss him in his fluorescent yellow cap and top. His eyes are dialed in as he returns, but that goes deep from Jan Choinski aiming for the tee. So settling in for this second serve. He goes up for the serve, kicks it down the body, but Cressy looking for the forehand slap down the line, but slight shank, and he misses that. That's the risk taker that Cressy is. Those are the ones that on the good days go in and on the bad days go out. Right, so back at deuce. Hello to MJ. Thanks for joining. Yeah, fresh blood. Hope I suffice. Hope I'm up to speed and good enough for you guys. But yeah, good to have you. So settled in, juice it. Cressy goes chip and charge on the return, and that is classic Maxime Cressy. Trademark. Finds such good depth on the forehand chip return. Follows it in so nicely. Choinski able to make him play the volley, but the drop volley cross court from Maxime Cressy sets up another break point. So the sun shining then on court 10 as Choinski goes big wide but misses. So a chance for Cressy to step in. Will he go big on the return or will he find it and make sure he makes it? Oh, and that's such a good serve from Jan Choinski. Cressy did step up onto the baseline, looking to try and take it early, but not trying to do too much with it. And Jan Choinski finds such good depth on that second serve and finds himself back at deuce then. As he goes T, and it's an unreturnable serve from Jan Choinski. And the Brit, his fighting spirit really showing now. That was seriously impressive. Lexi, showing your support for Max. Good to see you supporting the American in his home country. But after chances, the American can't capitalize. And he'll be gutted with that because he could have been going into this next game a break up and serving for the match. But instead, it's Choinski who will come back out and will only be 4 points away from making his first round debut at the US Open. What a moment that would be. Who he plays, we are yet to find out as the qualifiers yet to be put into the main draw, of course. That will be done when all the qualifiers are through, and then they will partner them up with whoever is already in the main draw. Yes, I am a Brit, and yes, we do have varying degrees of accents. I'm actually from the South, so I have this type of accent, but there are many different accents around the UK. Hey, Mark, thanks for joining in. Good to see you supporting the big Brit, Jan Choinski. Of course, Choinski training in London at the National Tennis Centre in southwest London in Roehampton. Not too far from the All England Lawn Tennis Club, as we know as Wimbledon. So he's got great access. And just a couple of years ago, he had such good exposure to the top players, to the likes of Andy Murray, Dan Evans, Kyle Edmund, who's struggled recently, but of course made the semis of the Australian Open a few years back. Back in COVID times, Jan Choinski took part in what was a competition called the Battle of the Brits. I don't know if many of you had heard of it, but it was a tournament during COVID that was streamed live, but was a team event and able to give essentially the younger British players a chance to compete with the top British players. And it was a win-win because everyone was competing and everyone was staying in the mode of competitive tennis and not losing too much competitive spirit and match match feelings for those couple of years that we all had. So that was a really key couple of weeks for Jan Choinski, and he did show his class. I remember him holding his own against the likes of Murray. So yeah, he there was signs there that he was on his way to great things. And is he going to be on his way to a great thing today for making the main draw of the US Open for the first time? He's down 40 love on Cressy's service game as Cressy looks to tie things up at 5-all. Cressy in frustration hits that volley tweener, but it was out of play because the serve was out, and that takes Cressy up to 10 double faults, up to not quite up to the level of his previous match where he hit 17 double faults against the Frenchman Pierre Huguebert in that defeat of the Frenchman 7-6 in the third set. So still a few double faults to go for Cressy. So it's a better serving day than it was the other day. Oh, but as I'm saying that, he serves another two in a row. So up to 11 double faults is Cressy. Just the two from Choinski. But bearing in mind, Cressy is going for a lot more. He takes risks on that serve. He gets rewards, but he also gives his opponents a fair few cheap points. So he needs to win this point here at 40-30. Goes net. So a little bit of pressure now on the American, the former UCLA Bruin, serving a second serve here at 40-30. A must-win point, you would have thought. Goes big. That's a great serve and volley, and Cressy able to put the volley away on the second attempt. And trademark Cressy showing yet again what he's made of. And I think what's happening here is really testament to both players and how they respond to adversity, because they're both, I've said it time and time again, but they're both really level headed. They are both known to be really, really tough mentally. Just listening to a podcast with Maxime, Cressy's coach, who runs his own business called TAP. It's called TAP Fitness, and that stands for Thought, Action, Process. So Cressy's coach is all about what goes on in the mind. How are you going to reset from something that's triggered you? How are you going to continue what's working well? Things like that. And that really shows because it's clearly rubbing off on Maxime Cressy. Such a strong fighter, such a tough competitor. And competing is Cressy right now for this game. Love 30 on the Choinski serve. Cressy bouncing up and down and then settling in for this return at love 30 on the Choinski serve. So Choinski goes into the tee, into the backhand of Cressy, and Choinski nets on the backhand approach, and it sets up 3 break points for the American. Let me know your thoughts. If Cressy gets a break here, is he holding and getting into the main draw? Guys, I want to know. Love 40. Cressy netting that backhand return after a strong and pacey serve from Choinski. Lexia, I wanted Maxine to win, but I like the new kid Choinski to get in as well. Yeah, it's a tough one. They're both likable characters, aren't they? It's not easy. Go with your gut. That's all I can say. That's what these guys are doing right now. Choinski aiming to get into the body. Cressy goes volley to volley. They're both up at the net, but Choinski manages to get past Cressy at the net. That was insane. Sorry, I sort of lost my breath as they were going toe to toe there in that rally, because Maxime Cressy had a volley and he had the open court, but he shanks it onto the frame and not able to put enough on the volley. It gave Choinski another chance to get back into the rally. And Choinski takes full advantage of that. So from 3 break points is now down to 1 as Choinski gets up to the serve and goes ace down the tee, but it's called a let by the Croatian umpire Maria Sicak. So it will be Choinski lining up for another first serve here at 30-40. Tense moments in this final round of qualifying at the US Open. Choinski goes up for the serve, goes body into the forehand of Cressy. Approach from Jan Choinski into the forehand of Maxime Cressy, and it's a pass. He has done it. That's awesome. Oh, so good. But the celebrations are staying very low-key for Cressy right now because he knows there's still a minimum of 4 points still to play in this match. He will be begging that it is only 4 points that he has to play to try and get into the main draw, back into the main draw of a slam. Whew, that was an intense game. I don't know if you're living this with me or if I'm coming off a bit too excited, but that was that was an intense game. So Maxime Cressy regripping his racket, preparing his mind and his racket for this final game that he would love to win. Or will it be the final game? Jan Choinski's already off the chair, jogging out to this near side on court 10. But Maxime Cressy just settling himself, preparing his mind for what he will hope will be the final game as he serves or tries to serve this match out and call it a day here. They've had to wait a fair while to get onto this court. Of course, Sonné Cartel earlier on, the up-and-coming British female player losing out in 3 sets in a couple of hours. And then Billie Harris, another Brit who was on second here on court 10, ended up losing in 3 sets from a set to the good. So a couple of 3-setters already has graced court 10. And this one hasn't disappointed either. So Cressy about to step up and serve for the match here on court 10. And the first serve is good and unreturnable. So Choinski, backhand return error, 15 love. A good start for the American. Wiping off the sweat from his forehead, Maxime Cressy leaning in, bouncing the ball. And up he goes for this first serve. He goes down the tee, but misses wide. That was going to be an ace or nothing, says Cressy. Choinski still a couple of meters behind the baseline. He'll be looking to make Cressy play on this one as Cressy serves and volleys and goes volley into the backhand side of Choinski. And that's a winner past Jan Choinski. And the Brit has work to do if he's going to get himself back into this match and back into this game. Cressy delighted with this start. 30 love up. And he looks calm as ever, does Maxime Cressy. As early evening starting to set here in Flushing Meadows. The sun setting on an awesome match that we've paid witness to and that you've been listening to me get a little bit too excited around Maxime Cressy and Jan Choinski. Choinski looking to return, but goes wide, does Cressy, taking his tally of double faults up to number 13, I believe. So still work to be done. Choinski not done yet. He's bouncing around, trying to get himself energized, shadowing a forehand, trying to get in the zone for this point. What can he do to make Cressy second guess himself? Cressy goes into the backhand of Choinski. Choinski makes him play, but Cressy comes up to the net and finishes with a backhand drop volley angled delightfully away from Choinski. So, all of you that have been watching, we're finally at our first match point. Is he going to do it? I'm not sure. But it certainly looks that way. From having come through the first round in 3 sets, from having come through the second round on a 3rd set tiebreak, defeating the 32nd seed, Cressy now 1 point away from the main draw. He goes wide into the forehand of Choinski, and it drops in the return. Maxime Cressy let that one go. And that was the match was on his racket there. Ooh, this is nervy. I, of course, I'd want to be Maxime Cressy right now, having a match point to get himself into the main draw, but nerves will be flying through his body right now. So another match point, having had chances to put that volley away in the previous. Serve from Cressy into the backhand of into the backhand of Choinski. It was a tough volley. It was a tough first volley for Cressy, and we're back to Juice. He misses it wide, aiming to go into the space. This is tense. Of course, too clear. We're not playing sudden death Juice in this. So from what was 2 match points is now 2 points away from the match for Maxime Cressy. Cressy aims to go ace out wide, but misses. Jan Choinski, as ever, a couple of meters behind the baseline, giving himself time to return this one and try and get it down to the feet of Cressy if he's approaching the net, which he does. He goes backhand volley deep onto the baseline, goes short. Oh my goodness. It's so nervy. Maxime Cressy hits the first volley bang on the baseline. Choinski does so well to get his feet out of the way, makes him play another volley. Cressy goes short, but Choinski uses his athleticism so well to get up to it, able to play past Cressy at the net, and he's gifted himself a lovely little break point. Tasty stuff here on court 10. Cressy nets. So Choinski 1 point away from getting us into another third set tiebreak. This is a classic US Open qualifying match. So Cressy goes kick into the body. Oh my goodness, Choinski guesses right, and he gets the break back. Going against all odds, going against the grain of play. Oh my goodness, I can't believe Jan Choinski has come back from 2 match points down on the serve of 6'7" Maxime Cressy in the final round of US Open qualifying. He's managed to find a way back into this set, and we're tied back level at 6 games all. I need a drink. Guys, come on, predictions. I need to know who you think is going to get this tiebreak. It's almost impossible to call right now. It's been so up and down for both players. Hey, Sean, do you think Sinner will get any boos at the US Open? I don't think so. It's tough to know with the US Open crowd because they can be pretty hostile. I know in previous years, for example, the likes of Medvedev have been subject to a few boos on Arthur Ashe when they come up for against Americans, for example. And of course, Yannick Sinner is playing an American in the first round in Mackenzie McDonald, who also was a UCLA Bruin, funnily enough, where Maxime Cressy attended. So, yeah, I don't think so. And it would be a real shame if Sinner was subject to boos or any hostility. But yeah, we shall see. Yeah, fingers crossed not, because as we've discussed earlier on in this match, I think Sinner subject to some really unfortunate events that were sort of out of his control. Anyway, back to the tennis as we took a slight breather then. We're tied at 1-1. Maxime Cressy serving from the far end here on court 10. Packed crowd now watching this final set tiebreak. Cressy closes the net down really, really well. And Choinski, no chance of retrieving that one. So Cressy up 2-1 in this tiebreak. Whew, deep breaths needed for myself and by the players. Cressy wins, says Alexander. Yeah, I think it would be tough to bet against Cressy here. Given his previous round, he's been tested. He's been seriously tested as Maxime Cressy in the first two rounds of qualifying, coming through against Hungarian Pyrrhos in the first round, and then, of course, against the Frenchman Pierre Hugues in another third set tiebreak. He faced match points. He got through it. He knows how to win these big points. On the other hand, Jan Choinski has come through pretty straightforwardly, able to come through in straight sets, of course, against Pedro Cachin, who didn't put up much of a fight in that first set, if I'm honest. 6-4, 6-2 was the win by Jan Choinski. It was pretty straightforward. And then, of course, the Monaco resident Valentin Vachereau in round two against Choinski, having to retire at 6-3, 3-1 to Choinski. Choinski hasn't been tested enough, and that, I think, fundamentally will be the difference here. Cressy is so dialed in and knows what to do in these big moments, whereas Choinski, I just don't think he has it in the bag. Of course, Cressy, he's been a top 30 player. He's been at 31 in the world back in 2022. To get up to that ranking, you've got to be able to know how to play the big points. Choinski has been on the Challenger Tour for so long now. Of course, that will have provided him with many big wins in many tight moments. But at the slams, it hasn't, whereas Cressy's been there. So I think that's what's going to make the difference, guys, in these last final closing stages. But I'm glad you guys are with me watching this, because I don't think I could go through it on my own. It's tense stuff. So 4-2 Cressy leads coming out of the changeover. Cressy walking up to the baseline and going through his routines again, bouncing the ball and then up to the serve, trying to go into the backhand of Choinski, but missing deep. So he'll reset for a second serve. I'm assuming he'll go in for the serve and volley yet again, which he does. He goes wide into the forehand of Choinski. Great pickup by Cressy and beautiful put away after the pickup. Oh my goodness, that was delightful. To have that feel in the tight moments like that, that's where the difference is. That's where the mindset comes in. To be able to calm yourself and stay loose in these tight moments. Credit to Maxime Cressy. So Jan Choinski serving at 2-5 in this final set tiebreak. Choinski going into the body of Cressy, and Cressy going big on the return but missing long. So 5-3 it goes. Choinski looking ready for this point. So up he goes to the serve, goes wide into the space of Cressy, but Cressy forcing an error off the return, forcing Choinski to come into the net somewhere where he's not as comfortable as Cressy. And that will be interesting to see. If Cressy has to retreat, will he bring Choinski up to the net somewhere where the Brit is not as comfortable? Interesting to see how that tactic plays out for the final closing stages of this match. Cressy goes big with the first serve, and it creeps over the net. So he'll come back to take a let, I believe. Cressy wide into the backhand kick from Cressy, but a beautiful backhand return. Winner from Choinski. So 6-4 it goes. Cressy up. Cressy serving at 6-4. Nets the first. Passes the ball over to the ball kid to try and hurry up the time in between first and second serve. Staying focused is the American as he goes into the body of Jan Choinski, but it misses deep. And make that 14 double faults for Cressy. And it's now the difference of 1 point. You could not separate these two if you tried right now. But no time to dwell on that for Cressy. He's back focused on this point. But too good from Choinski on the serve. He goes wide, unreturnable. And we're back level. 1 set all, 6 games all, 6 points all. Oh my goodness. It's all happening. There is not a single spare seat or spare standing area around this court number 10 here at Flushing Meadows. People from the next court along are trying to get in to watch this match. It's tough to think. It's one of the last qualifying matches, I believe. I don't think there's too much else going on around the grounds. So 6-all. Choinski misses the first, aiming for the tee. Cressy standing high up on the baseline, goes in for the backhand return. He shadows. His shadows were following him in just there as he was towering down on the net. But Choinski able to find the passing winner as Cressy charged the net there. And the tactic is clear for Cressy. Get into the net as soon as possible. But Choinski was ready for it. So Choinski up in the tiebreak for the first time at 7 points to 6. Cressy now serving. Going big, wide into the backhand of Choinski. Choinski makes the return. And does he make the pass? He doesn't. He does not make the pass. We are tied back level at 7-all. Credit to Cressy sticking to his tactics, trusting himself that his strategy of play is going to get him over the line here. Beautiful backhand volley faded out into the forehand of Choinski. So 7 points all. Where does Cressy go on this one? He goes into the net. Choinski back 2 meters behind the baseline. Just takes a step in, makes the return, and Cressy nets the volley. And in anger, smashes the ball into the net. Head is down. He needs to recover quick. He needs to recover really quick from this as he goes to the corner and changes his racket as he does for when changing over from server to returner. And where will Choinski go? He is now 2 points away, having got the mini break in this tiebreak. Where's your money, guys? Let me know. My money's still on Cressy. I still back him. But we're a second serve for Choinski at 8-7 up in this tiebreak. Cressy backhand to backhand of Choinski. Choinski goes slice. Does it go deep? No, it doesn't. It goes into the baseline. Forehand exchange. Does Cressy go long? He does on the forehand. And it's the forehand that breaks down again for the American. And it brings up 2 match points for the 28-year-old Brit, ranked at 280 in the world. It will be a huge ranking win. Choinski goes deep with the serve. And he lines up for the second serve. Who will it be to win this one? Goes into the backhand. Choinski forehand. Choinski. No way has he just done that. We're still going. We're still going. Jan Choinski has had the match on his racket. There's no way Maxime Cressy should be winning that point. Cressy goes drop shot. Choinski gets there with ease. He goes back straight down the middle. What are you doing? Choinski had either side to go down. He just needed to pick a side. That's all he needed to do. But Cressy held his ground and found a way to keep himself playing. Yes, we're playing to 10, and it's 9-8 to Jan Choinski. Maxime Cressy goes big down the middle, and we're back at 9-all. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. Oof. There are people standing in the crowd just trying to stretch their legs. They've been there a good few hours now. And the crowd has been pretty fair to both players, given that it is an American player going through these tense moments. They've been really fair to both players, which is great to see. So Cressy somehow is still alive, and I did say that I wasn't ruling him out, even at 2 match points down. So here we are, serving at 9-all. Goes wide, and he aces wide. Jan Choinski stood flat-footed. Nothing he could do about that. And as ever, Maxime Cressy going back to the corner of the court, changing rackets in what is such an unusual routine, but is working for him right now at match point up. Oh, and Choinski goes T with the serve, but Maxime Cressy misses the return. And we are at 10-all. 2 points away is Choinski. 2 points away is Cressy. Choinski now in the shade of the court as the sun starts to fade on court 10. As Choinski misses the serve down the tee. Cressy looking to dominate on this return. Goes into the tee. Backhand chisel from Cressy. Cressy slices, approaches. Is it going to be a pass from Choinski? It is. And the fist pump is up from Jan Choinski. I bet he can't believe he is still out there having to try and win this match, having been up 2 match points at 9-7 just a few moments ago. Somehow, the higher ranked Cressy managing to stick in this, but Choinski is back at match point. Cressy to serve. Goes T big, and Cressy gets into the net, and Choinski has done it. He leaps into the air. He cannot believe he has come through that match, pumps his chest, and the two embraced with a nice handshake. Cressy distraught, as you would have thought, but the time is Jan Choinski's time. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching an insane match here. Wow, what a way to finish. That was incredible. Choinski, how pleased must he be? That performance from someone who has been competing on the Challenger Tour for so long, able to make the main draw of the US Open for the very first time. What an awesome piece of accomplishment that is. But guys, thank you so much for joining. It's been a pleasure to bring you this final round of qualifying. And yeah, you've all been so great. And I look forward to interacting with you more. But yeah, make sure you like and subscribe. And yeah, for more action, make sure to keep on tuning into the channel. I'm sure we would all appreciate it. And yeah, thanks a lot. And see you guys soon. All the best.
All I want is Cressy.